What's up, Sooner Nation? Happy New Year to you. Thanks for all that have watched our videos throughout this year and helped to grow our channel. If you're not subscribed, please do so. Click the button, turn on your notifications, share our channel to your friends. Oklahoma Sooners wrap up the season 10-3. And some people will say this is a good season, others will disagree. Let's see what your thoughts are. Drop them in the comments below. But Jackson, we'll start with you. Thoughts on the 2023 Team 129 season?
Well, I think this season was a team that exceeded expectations and underperformed expectations in certain parts and aspects. I think the part that exceeded the expectations, I would say, would be the jump we saw from certain players, aka like a Danny Stutzman, like even maybe a Dylan Gabriel, because there's a point in the year where he's playing like a legitimate Heisman contender. So it's not, I think Oklahoma individually had players improve, but as a team, I think their ceiling was a lot higher than they performed at, because this was a team that beat Texas, who is now debatably the hottest team in the country and the best team in the country. There's an argument for that. They went into a bye week and said all the momentum in all of college football pretty much coming off that win. And they just flattened out, they baselined out. I'm not sure what happened. It was poor execution on both sides of the ball. Defensively, I felt like they fell apart in the last 4 games of the year. They did not play like they did in the first 8 games. I don't know what happened there. I don't know if it was injuries, guys getting tired. I would say that Danny Stutzman, whenever he got hurt versus Kansas, that just kind of threw things off for the rest of the season on the defensive side of the ball. But I think Oklahoma in certain parts played well and also didn't play well.
Yeah, I'll go ahead next. The season was a disappointment. 10-3 or not, yeah, that's 4 more wins than a year before. Dylan Gabriel had a great year, really took the leap. Jackson also mentioned the Danny Stutzman jump he took, now going to be coming back for Team 130 in 2024 and the SEC. But this team was on top of the world. I mean, a massive win, an all-time classic against Texas and Dallas in the Red River rivalry. And then you show up, you should have honestly lost to UCF with how they played after a bye week after that massive win. So you're 7-0, you go up to Lawrence, you lose by 5. Terrible performance from the offense there, just all around coaching, players, everything. Following week, Oklahoma State, again, you only put up 24 points against a not good defense. I mean, plain and simple. Oklahoma State is not a good defensive team. You cannot lose that game. The last bedlam, now they have eternal bragging rights as it doesn't look like they're ever going to play that game again unless they end up getting matched up in a playoff game, if that somehow happens, or in a bowl game down the road. It just doesn't seem that they're going to bring back that rivalry for Bedlam. And again, Arizona, 6 turnovers in the bowl game, and they still should have won. Like, I mean, really, they were almost able to win that game if the fumble from Jalil Farouk didn't happen that really just derailed the game. But I mean, there's stuff to look forward to. You have Danny Stutzman coming back, like that's massive. Billy Bowman coming back. A few other guys haven't announced yet. Maybe Justin Harrington's able to come back with a waiver as well. Then you have Jackson Arnold. We got to see him finally in the Alamo Bowl, and he shined. He also struggled, but he shined. And when he shined bright. I mean, look at the throws he made in that game. Nick Anderson for a touchdown. Deep ball to Brennan Thompson. Zipped a few into Farouk that also ended up being turnovers. But again, this team, there's stuff to look forward to as they're going into the SEC. But the season as a whole is a massive disappointment when you're looking at Texas, now a playoff team. You beat them and then lost. You played like crap for 3 straight weeks. And again, it got to their head, plain and simple. They beat Texas. I have the shirt. Texas fears Oklahoma. Oklahoma only fears God from Danny Stutzman. I mean, the team, it was clear they were unfocused after that win. It was almost like that win was their Super Bowl And for the rest of the season, it was just there was always something going on week by week other than the West Virginia game.
Yeah, and let's face it, Oklahoma had a miraculous drive against Texas. Otherwise, they lose that game, and this is a debacle of a season. A debacle of a season if they were to not get that drive, period. Most Sooner fans would have taken 10-2 heading to a bowl game if the two losses were Texas and Texas, or Texas and maybe K-State in the Big 12 title game, however it would have worked out. The fact of the matter is Sooner fans should not accept, like you said, losing the last Bedlam game against a mediocre, at best, defensive team in OSU and losing to Kansas the way that game went. It was a pitiful. I think there's a couple of things that I like about this team. I like the culture shift. There's been a culture shift in Norman since Brent Venables took over. It's in the right direction. It's headed up. That has not changed. I love everything about that. I think Brent Venables is the guy. Coaching. I think there's another C you can look at. Throughout the season, it took way too long to figure some things out, a.k.a. who's our running back, a.k.a. who's these guys going to be, which set of receivers we're going to go with. It just took too long. I don't know what took that long, but it did. Game management and coaching still needs to be corrected in a lot of ways. So there's some coaching areas I think need to be fixed as well. And then I think I'm going to say commitment as well across the board. I'm not the only one saying it. Danny Stutzman has said it. People need to be bought in across the board. And maybe that happens with Danny Stutzman and Billy Bowman making a statement that they're going to commit another year to the university. I think that's big for the program moving forward. I like a lot of things coming into the program, like Jackson Arnold. I think he's the guy you got to roll with, and everyone's ready to get behind him. So there's a lot of good things. But if you're just going to ask me this season as a whole, how was it? Is a big disappointment in the fact that 3 losses, didn't win a bowl game. I know the opt-out and bowl games are kind of meaningless for the season, which I do agree with that they are. But into next season, you got to make better plays. They didn't make them in the bowl game either. Defensively, it was in shambles the last half of the season. Thought they played better in the bowl game. There's some signs there. And there's a lot of young guys to look forward to next year. So that would be my kind of synopsis of the year.
Yeah, the bowl game. I mean, the way they lost is what makes it so bad. Like, I mean, it should have been 31-13. They're driving down the field. Joel Farouk catches the pass and fumbles. They return at 87 yards, fumbles at the 13-yard line. It's 24-21 like that. Arizona gets 2-point conversion. Then they tie it up, take the lead. It's 38-24 final score. That Arizona team is really, really good. Like that does need to be acknowledged by Sooner fans as how good of a team Arizona is. They've won 7 straight games in the season. They were 3 possessions away, 7-point game each, 2 overtime losses early in the year before Noah Fafita took over full time. That needs to be noticed. Arizona is a top 10 worthy team. So for the Sooners to come that close and still lose is again disappointing. But again, you cannot lose games that you're supposed to win. Like this is always the issue with Oklahoma, it seems like. Every single year there's at least one loss that they shouldn't have lost. This year there was 2 of them. Next year, if you do that, if you play like you played against UCF, against even TCU in the back half of the game defensively, like you're not going to win those SEC games. Like people need to realize that. I mean, this team could very well go 10-2 with ease next year in the SEC, but they also could go 6-6 like that. When you look at the SEC schedule, there's no off weeks other than Maine in November. The road games you have, Missouri just won the Cotton Bowl. Ole Miss just won the Peach Bowl. You're going on the road for both of those games. Oh, and by the way, between all of that and that same kind of stretch of the season, Bama's coming to town. You're also going to LSU to close out the season. So, again, got to figure out how to eliminate the mistakes that were being made because it was at times the team was one side of the ball would play really well. The other side of the ball wouldn't complement it often. other than a few games early in the year, which again, look at the opponents. And then against Texas, it happened. Defense played really well against Texas. Forced 3 turnovers to Quinn Ewers, who has Texas in the college football playoff right now. The offense got the job done. Dylan Gabriel, miraculous drive to win it. So you have to be able to figure out the game management. It's 26 games now into Brent Venables' head coaching career. You cannot continue to have these just silly mistakes with time management, clock management, timeouts. Like, this shouldn't be happening. It's now 2 full seasons going into his 3rd season as a head coach. Got to figure it out. Any sort of mistake like that will lose you a game in the SEC very quickly.
That's right. And if there's 2 things left that I have to take away from the season, and to me, it's very frustrating. One, Oklahoma's lack of responding to adversity all year long was not impressive at all. Whenever adversity struck the majority of this time, this team seemed to fold up, seemed to not play well on either side of the ball. Your big-time players really couldn't seem to step up and make the big play even when adversity struck. And second, I think it was said by someone in the presser at the end of the Alamo Bowl, I don't remember, but Oklahoma continuously beats Oklahoma. Why does that still happen? I don't know why Oklahoma can't figure out a way to get out of their own way, and I agree with Hunter. That's just what makes the season even more disappointing.
Yeah, and youth sometimes is a big deal. They are young in a lot of positions, but I think everyone would have this probably same agreement that this was a year, guys, where it was could have, would have, should have, but didn't. It's probably the best way to wrap this up. But looking forward to the 2024 season, Team 130 is going to be exciting. You got the Under Armour game on Wednesday this week. 4 Sooners in that. Daniel Akinkumi even staying after, getting some extra work on his own. I saw on a report today from Parker Thune. I like a lot of what I've seen of these young guys coming in. So excitement around the corner in Norman. Thanks again for being a part of the Sooner Surge YouTube channel. We really appreciate it. And we continue to grow, and we continue to look for you on these videos and appreciate all you've done. Again, thanks for watching. Till next year. Boomer.